What would you say then, as a leadership expert, as a guru, as a practitioner in the art and the sport of personal and individual development, what would you advise somebody who's new to the game to do?
First thing I would say is know what your goals are, because not every person in some sort of leadership context has the same goal. Maybe if you're heading up a team, a sports team, like for example, I play a lot of football. So the QB is usually the leader of the group there. Not every team is the same. Do I want to focus on how we can start scoring more points? Do I want to focus on limiting some of the internal squabbles that come from who's playing as much? That's one example. Know your goals in the context of business. Maybe it's actually growing the business. Maybe, like many people, when you get into your teens and 20s, it's deciding, well, what kind of business do I want to go into? How can you be an effective leader if you don't even know where you want to go? So the first thing I would say is figuring out what your goals are in that leadership space, and then trying to figure out what the best style of leadership is for you going forward. Some people are more authoritative. Unfortunately, those don't always work. Depends on the particular context. Others are more collaborative in the sense of like, hey, I want to do whatever I can to build up other people around me and make it so that they value my presence. And in turn, I'll get a lot of respect and value from them in return. So I'd say that definitely the first thing is decide where you want to go, what sort of goals you're trying to accomplish.
I think that applies situationally, it applies organizationally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got, I think, the two angles there. If you're going into an organization like many in the last few years where growth is paramount, don't give a damn how much you spend, just make it happen. Go off and you can take $100 million and pee it up against the wall as far as we're concerned, as long as you damn well grow. Or, like, again, that's venture businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you've got, for example, traditional companies where we all try to make money, right? Or private equity-backed stuff where it's profitability. EBITDA. I want to see EBIT. I want to see the contribution to profit. That's more important.
Uh-huh.
Or is there a given management circumstance that you've got to work in? Is it a merger? Which division? So understanding what the organizational objectives are, and then the situation you find yourself in. Is it a startup? In which case it is probably growth. Is it a startup of a family unit that you're working in which case it's probably profitability? Is it a turnaround? Is the place a disaster? In which case you have to come in as the knight on the back of the horse and fix everything? Is it a restoration? Is it a scale up? So those angles, I think, you got to play to the position you find yourself in. So not only do you have your personal goals, but you get the organizational and the situational ones.
Very true. And funny enough that you mentioned that, I think it's a good segue. I would actually highly recommend some of Paul's products if you go to his website, leadership website. I'm actually taking one of his courses right now. So I'm, like I said, I'm always one to throw out assists there, like Jason Kidd. So
I'll take it.
Definitely,
Practical Leadership Academy, ladies and gentlemen. I don't normally plug it in the middle of the things, but do please visit. There's an advert before and afterwards. I tack them on. But that's brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't mention that because what you say is so true. Because it's so different. Like, let's say you were coming in, you were now going to be the leader of GE. This is a decades-old company that's already on top, and they've got billions of dollars under their control. The style of leadership that you would need there would be much different than say, hey, I want to start an e-commerce company that ships furniture from China to Americans. Like, it's a whole different thing. Like, the kind of work you have to do and what sort of insight and research is necessary to keep things afloat and just get things going. So you make a very good point about leadership not being uniform across all contexts.